After failing to win over Rafael, the system did not erase me. Instead, it set me free. In your past life, he died saving you. His only wish before dying was for you to love him in the next life. And you agreed. That's why I was born. In this life, he didn't cherish you and kept bullying you. So he deserves to lose you. As of today, your debt to him is paid off. And you are free. Harmony Goo. I wish you a life free of scum and smooth sailing from now on. Chapter 1. After the system disappeared, I fell into a deep sleep. In my dream, I saw everything that happened between Rafael and me in our past life. He obsessively and crazily pursued me for over 10 years, knew my daily routes, knew the stalls I loved to visit, and knew when I would return home. On my way to a tutoring session, he followed me as usual. A car with failed brakes sped toward me, and it was Rafael who pushed me out of the way. He was hit and left barely alive. He died in my arms, choking out a plea that I love him in our next life. I agreed, and I did as I promised. I pursued him for 15 years, humbly caring for him and catering to his every need. Enduring humiliation for 15 years, I shielded him from a falling chandelier in a bar, resulting in broken fingers and a head injury that ruined my career. I could never play the piano again, but he never even thanked me. Instead, he sneered at me with disdain. Miss Goo, is this your latest trick to get my attention? TSK. What a shame you ended up hurting yourself. Your fingers are broken. Ha 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 ha. This is karma for mocking Anai's disability. Now you're a little crippled too. He left me lying on the bar floor in pain for 2 hours, forbidding anyone from calling for help or an ambulance, delighting in my agony as I convulsed and cried from the pain. In the end, the bar owner, fearing something might happen, secretly called 911 against Rafael's orders. The system was right. I have paid off my debt. From now on, I am free. I no longer owe Rafael anything. Chapter 2. In the hospital room, my brother was deeply pained. Do you really like Rafael that much? You were willing to risk your life for him? Look at you now. You're in the hospital. And has he even visited you once? He's out there racing cars with those rich second-generation brats. Still passed out in some bar. Is it worth it? I nodded and said with an easy smile, yes, it's worth it. I hate owing people anything, and it feels so good to finally repay the debt. My brother didn't understand. What debt do you owe him? I smiled without answering. He sighed. What are you going to do next? With your right hand like this, you'll have to cancel all your upcoming performances. I replied, it's okay. I'm planning to become a teacher. I've always wanted to teach. And now I'm just switching from being a piano teacher to an English teacher. It's fine. I'll live a good life. During my hospital stay, I practiced writing with my left hand whenever I had free time. After 2 months, my handwriting was still ugly, but at least it was somewhat legible, just a little bit ugly. On the day I was discharged, the whole family came. When my parents heard that I was planning to get certified as an English teacher, their eyes turned red. I patted their hands. It's just a broken finger, not the end of the world. There are so many paths in this world. I'll find one that suits me. Don't worry about me. Harmony. Have I ever told you how much your pretentiousness annoys me? Rafael emerged from behind me, pushing a wheelchair. In it sat Anai, the adopted daughter of the Shin family. My brother was so furious he wanted to fight him. I quickly grabbed his arm, shook my head, got into the passenger seat, and didn't spare Rafael a glance or say a word. After fastening my seatbelt, Rafael rapped on the window with a cold expression. Get out. I ignored him and told my brother to drive. Rafael cursed. Damn it, Harmony. If you don't get out right now, don't ever show up in front of me again. I finally met his angry gaze and said seriously, don't worry. I won't ever appear in front of you again. He sneered. Fine. Just don't come crawling back with some sappy letter to win me over. Even if you kneel and beg this time, I won't give a damn. I nodded obediently as usual. Okay. Chapter 3. After returning home, I deleted and blocked all of Rafael's contact information. But since we were in the same social circle with many mutual friends, some things were unavoidable. During the time I spent at home studying and practicing my writing, our mutual friends would relay to me every day what Rafael had done for Anai. Yes, Rafael liked his non-blood-related sister. In his eyes, Anai was the most beautiful angel in the world, and I was the witch who bullied her. Anai was the daughter of one of Rafael's father's friends. She was disabled, and her parents died in an accident when she was 3 years old. So the Shin family adopted her. Perhaps in her eyes, Rafael was the only future she could hold on to. Over the years, she did everything she could to frame and slander me, making Rafael misunderstand and despise me, all for the sake of her so-called sense of security. The thing Rafael said to me most often was, "Harmony, you're so disgusting." Snapping out of my memories, my eyes landed on the latest message on the screen. Rafael is planning to propose to Anai. Miss Gu, are you going to crash the wedding? I smiled and replied, "No need, and you don't need to tell me anything about him anymore." That night, everyone in our circle knew that I was heartbroken over Rafael's marriage, so much so that I couldn't bear to hear anything about him. I'm telling you, the speed of imagination and spreading rumors is limitless. Chapter 4. My brother was on a business trip when he heard the rumor and rushed back home without even bothering to sign the contract. When he saw me relaxing with a face mask on, happily humming, eating fruit, and watching a drama, he was completely stunned. Didn't they say you were so depressed over Rafael that you were about to break down? I was puzzled. I knew rumors shouldn't be trusted. Seeing that I was fine, my brother breathed a sigh of relief. After taking a shower, he tentatively suggested, "I have a childhood friend who has been studying abroad for a long time. He returned last year and now manages his own company while teaching at a university. He scouts promising talent for his company. Do you want to meet him? He could definitely help you with what you're studying for." I bit my fork. Is he handsome? Huh? My brother was stunned, then slowly recovered and hurriedly showed me a photo. Not as handsome as me, but definitely drop-dead gorgeous, way better looking than that Shin guy. I became interested. He was the elegant and scholarly type I liked. Sure, if he doesn't have a girlfriend, I'll consider him as a potential date. My brother slapped his own leg in excitement, wincing in pain. Great! Kenta would love that. I raised an eyebrow but didn't press further when my brother refused to say more. Chapter 5. I arrived at the cafe near a university at the agreed time. Kenta arrived earlier than me. When I entered, he was sitting in a chair, wearing a well-tailored linen coat, maturely handling work on his laptop. I watched him for a while, and indeed, his appearance was just my type. After checking my reflection in the transparent glass door and making sure everything was fine, I walked in. "Hello, I'm Harmony." Kenta took off his glasses, smiled, and extended his hand to me. "Hello, I'm Kenta." After chatting for a while, we got along surprisingly well. He had a steady charm, exuding an air of deep knowledge. No matter what I said or asked, he always answered calmly and thoughtfully. He was cultured and knowledgeable yet very humble, never showing off his talents. As a sapiosexual, I really liked Kenta's type. After dinner, he drove me home. As we arrived, he suddenly said, "Miss Gu, would you like to get engaged to me?" I was a bit surprised. "What?" He pondered for a moment and said, "Maybe your brother didn't tell you, but the Wu and Gu families have long been business partners. Our families have been discussing an alliance through marriage. You can rest assured, Miss Gu, that I have no bad habits, no scandals, and no ex-girlfriends. Marrying me would be beneficial for both you and the Gu family. If you ever fall in love with someone else, I will agree to a divorce." I sensed something was off in his words. "Is my family going bankrupt?" He was startled, then slowly smiled. "Not at all, but recently your brother and I have a significant business venture that requires a substantial amount of liquid funds." After thinking for a moment, he added, "Honestly, it's my family pushing me to marry. They're in a bit of a hurry." I thought it over and said, "All right, I'll marry you. If my brother trusts you, you must be a decent person. On the other hand, I might never find someone as suitable for marriage as him in this lifetime." Compared to others in our circle, Kenta was the best option by far, like comparing wolves to huskies. When a good opportunity comes along, you have to grab it tightly, especially when it's so rare. Chapter 6. I didn't expect Kenta to move so fast. It was almost as if he had some unspeakable reason to rush. Meeting the parents, getting engaged, trying on wedding dresses, and preparing the rings. These things usually take time. But Kenta managed to sort everything out within 2 weeks. And everything he prepared was luxurious and meticulously crafted. Clearly not something that could be done in a short time. My brother clicked his tongue. It's like he's lost his mind reading those domineering CEO novels where they fall in love after marriage. I was speechless. My brother chuckled. Or maybe he's trying to be the second male lead who finally wins the girl. I was truly speechless. Do you think everyone is like you? Hiding in the office all day reading deep love for Mr. Wu. My brother blushed. Nonsense. The one I'm reading now is called Mr. Wu. Kiss gently. I facepalmed. What a disgrace to the family. Chapter 7. On the day of my engagement to Kenta, the event was packed with guests. Everyone who was anyone in our circle was there. My parents sent invitations to all our close friends, except the Shin family. Halfway through the banquet, Rafael showed up uninvited. Kenta was helping me pour drinks for the elders when he noticed Rafael. His brow furrowed slightly. A flash of anger crossed his eyes, and he stepped protectively in front of me. Rafael gave me a smile that was more like a grimace. Aren't you going to pour me a drink? The atmosphere in the hall suddenly froze. To avoid embarrassing the Gu family, I had no choice but to ask him to leave. Mr. Shen, if you have something to say, we can discuss it privately. Please leave now. He gave a self-mocking laugh, tears streaming down his face. He walked over and grabbed my hand with a crazed, obsessive look that reminded me of our past life. I remember now. Harmony. I remember everything. It was my fault. Let's reconcile, get married, and live a good life together. Please, give me another chance. Kenta grabbed his hand, his expression emotionless, but I heard the sound of bones grinding together, and Rafael winced in pain. Mr. Shen, this is my fiancé. Kenta turned to me with a gentle smile. Fiancé, please call security. The whispers around us grew louder, and the media was taking photos. Both the Wu and Gu families were well known, and any negative publicity at a time like this could directly affect their stock prices. Rafael's sorrowful gaze never left me. He couldn't believe I would be so heartless as to call security to have him removed. But I would. I had already repaid my debt to him. To me, he was now nothing more than a stranger I grew up with. When security arrived, they began to escort Rafael out. He was still muttering things about our past life, but everyone around us just thought he was crazy. Only I knew he was telling the truth. Kenta's hand rested on my waist. Gentle but firm, he coldly instructed the security. Gag him and drag him out. Something was stuffed into Rafael's mouth, silencing him, and he was dragged away. A perfectly good engagement banquet was ruined by Rafael, and the lively atmosphere never returned. The entire banquet hall, from the inside out, had been meticulously supervised by Kenta himself. A photographer followed us throughout the event to document everything, intending to edit it into a vlog for both families to look back on in the future. But now, thanks to Rafael's interruption, the smiles on everyone's faces were a bit forced. Chapter 8. After the engagement banquet, Kenta drove me back to the Gu family home. As I sat in the passenger seat, I carefully chose my words to apologize to him about what happened today. He cut me off, his well-defined fingers tapping the steering wheel, his voice steady. It was my fault for not briefing the security team in advance. I'm sorry you had a bad engagement experience. I promise you, on our wedding day, nothing like this will happen again. I was at a loss for words. The rumors about Rafael and me had been swirling for a while. I couldn't believe Kenta hadn't heard anything. I and Rafael. He interrupted me again, his mood clearly not great, but he still softened his tone when he spoke to me. Fiancé. He emphasized the word. The past is the past. I hope you can look forward to our future. Then, his tone softened a bit as he added, our bright future. I will be a good husband and, eventually, a good father. You can trust me because I love you. His sudden and direct confession took me by surprise. We've only known each other for half a month. I raised my voice in disbelief. How can you say you love someone you've just met? Love shouldn't be so cheap. Kenta let out a bitter laugh. We've known each other for 14 years. Harmony, you just forgot. No, I should say you never remembered. But that's okay. We have plenty of time. I can wait. As the car drove through the cool, stifling rain towards the Gu family villa, Kenta, despite his bad mood, still gentlemanly opened the door and held the umbrella for me until I was safely inside. My brother invited him to stay the night, but he didn't stay long, leaving shortly after with his umbrella. Before he left, he wished me a good night and sweet dreams. His expensive black suit gradually blended into the dark night, his sharp, chiseled features dusted with fine raindrops, exuding a heavy, oppressive aura. My brother leaned in and asked, "Did you two have a fight?" I denied it. No. He clicked his tongue. Kenta rarely gets this moody. I couldn't help but ask, "Did I know him before?" My brother looked at me in disbelief. "I'm only 2 grades ahead of you. He was with me every day at school. Every time you came to find me for lunch. The food you ate, the water you drank, and the snacks you took away were all prepared by him. Don't tell me you don't remember any of it. I thought you just hadn't been in contact for a few years and would remember once you met again." Harmony, when did you develop face blindness? I was silent, then jumped to my feet. Weren't all those things prepared by you? I remembered there was always a guy around my brother, but I never paid much attention to him. At that time, I was wholly focused on winning over Rafael. I didn't have the time to notice other men. My brother looked deeply ashamed. "I'm sorry, I really didn't think that. In your mind, I was so competent. I'm truly embarrassed. I didn't know what to say. I originally thought this marriage was a mutually beneficial arrangement, a union of 2 families. After marriage, Kenta and I could at least treat each other with respect. If we were lucky, we might even develop some affection for each other over time." My brother smirked mischievously. "You've been eating the Wu family's food for free all these years. It's time to pay off your debt." Thinking of Kenta's tightly pressed lips, his lowered eyes, and the sadness hidden in them, a strange feeling crept into my heart. Clearly, I didn't reject my brother's words. In fact, I was quite willing to act on them. Chapter 9. The next morning, when I woke up, Kenta had already sent me a message, asking if I was awake. A few days ago, we had planned to visit our high school to take some commemorative photos, with outfits prepared in a preppy style. I replied to his message, and he told me he was on his way to pick me up, saying he would arrive in about half an hour. After exiting the conversation with Kenta, I received a friend request from Anai, with a note saying, "Let's talk." Ever since I left the hospital last time, I had removed everyone associated with Rafael from my social circle. The housekeeper knocked on my door, asking what to do with the pile of Lego sets in the study. Those were the ones Rafael had given me for my birthday. Out of obligation, there was no sentiment behind them. They were just things he was tired of, casually packed up and given to me. To earn his favor, I had spent half a month assembling them, even buying a special display case to protect them. Despite all my efforts, Rafael saw what I did and mocked me to our mutual friends, saying, "Even the garbage I don't want is a treasure to her." There's no one more pathetic than Harmony. I accepted Anai's friend request, and she sent me a location. I asked the housekeeper to pack up everything Rafael had ever given me, intending to return it all to him. I was determined to cut all ties. For over a decade, my world revolved around Rafael. I shared in his joys and sorrows. When he was happy, I was happy. When he was upset, I tried to cheer him up. But in the end, all I got from him was a dismissive comment. "Oh, Harmony? She's been clinging to me since birth. She's a real simp. And pretty pathetic too." I wondered if he remembered, as he said those words, how I stood up for him when he was bullied as a child, how I would wait silently to walk him home when he was scared of the dark in middle school, how I took him to the hospital when he was sick, and how I spent all my pocket money to buy him things his family wouldn't. Back then, he was so sweet, so kind. He used to say, "Sister, you're so good to me. I'll be good to you too when I grow up." I didn't know when it all started to change, when he began skipping school, getting into fights, racing cars, picking up the bad habits of those rich second-generation kids. I watched him plunge into a terrifying abyss, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't pull him back. He started staying out all night, began to despise me, and stopped liking me. He stopped calling me sister. He stopped waiting for me to walk home. He even started lashing out at me. He went from holding my hand with a bright smile, asking me to wait for him to walk home together, to glaring at me coldly, shaking off my hand, and asking if I had no shame. Everyone comforted me, saying Rafael was just going through a rebellious phase, that all boys go through it, and that he would be fine once he grew up. But I was tired. I didn't want to wait any longer. Thankfully, it was all over now. I no longer had to be shameless. Chapter 10. As Kenta watched the housekeeper load the things into the trunk, filling it to the brim, he asked curiously, "Are these props for the photo shoot?" I answered bluntly, "No, we're going to see Rafael first." Before Kenta could protest, I quickly explained, "The trunk is full of everything Rafael has given me over the years. I'm giving it all back. I won't have any more contact with him. I promise you." I really don't like him anymore. Since Kenta had watched me grow up, he naturally knew about all the foolish things I had done for Rafael. No wonder he had been so sensitive about me mentioning Rafael before. He understood my past better than anyone. He didn't want to relive my deep feelings for another man. But I had to show him my resolve. I needed to remove the thorn in his heart with my own hands. I wouldn't carry any potential hazards into our marriage. I believe you. He opened the car door for me but didn't close it, instead leaning in to meet my gaze. I heard his slightly low, suppressed voice. "Then, would you try to like me? I don't ask for much, just a little more each day, and that would be enough." His fingers on the car door opened and clenched awkwardly. Even though he was now a successful professor and the president of Wu Corporation, he still seemed as timid as a teenager with a secret crush. Before I could respond, he was already nervously talking to himself. "It's okay if you can't. We have plenty of time, right? Plenty of time." He awkwardly moved to close the door, but I grabbed his hand. "There's no need to try. Kenta, I do like you. Maybe it's not love yet, but you definitely make me like you. I'll try to love you. Please give me some time." There wouldn't be another person who fit my aesthetic as perfectly as he did. Inside and out, Kenta knew how to grow on someone. Good. He held back the urge to hug me and solemnly promised, "I'll make sure you see my love." Chapter 11. When I entered the private room, Anayi was nowhere to be seen. Rafael was sitting on the sofa, looking unwell, clearly having waited a long time for me. After dealing with Anayi for so many years, I had expected this outcome. She would never meet me directly. This could only mean Rafael had arranged the meeting under her name. Kenta and I brought in the items from the trunk and placed them in front of Rafael. When he saw the completed Lego set, his eyes reddened with emotion. I took out the other items from the bag. "This stone is from my 18th birthday, which you picked up from the roadside. Back then, you accused me of throwing such a big birthday party just to mock and suppress Anayi." My voice carried a note of resignation. "I'm the daughter of the Gu family, whether Anayi was there or not. My coming-of-age ceremony would have been grand. Anayi's misfortunes weren't caused by me. You shouldn't have taken it out on me." Rafael kept his head down, biting his lip hard, staring at me without blinking, as if he had lost the ability to speak. "This card is from the pair of Jordan sneakers you bought. I think it was your gift for my 20th birthday, but I don't really remember. Today, I'm returning all of these to you. I want to tell you that it's over. Rafael, I won't cling to you anymore. Don't let the memories of another lifetime make you want to change things. That was all in the past." I turned and took Kenta's hand to leave. Rafael stood up from the sofa, losing control as he cried out, "You never really liked me, let alone loved me. Your heart was never in it, so you couldn't win me over. Harmony, you're a heartless woman." I couldn't help but stop, finally reconciling with the part of myself that had struggled and avoided this for so long. I laid everything bare. "Rafael, you're wrong. I did like you. But after that incident at the bar, when I cracked my skull and broke my fingers, teetering on the edge of death for hours, you became a shadow in my heart. I could only keep telling myself I didn't like you, that someone as awful as you couldn't be worth liking, that you weren't deserving of my love. You weren't worth it." I tightened my grip on Kenta's hand, my vision growing blurry, my throat thick with emotion. "But I remember the past. Back then, you were so timid, yet you fought off a wild dog to protect me. even if it meant getting bitten and scarred. When we were kidnapped, and the captors wanted to cut off my fingers to send to the Gu family, you offered yours instead. That's why you lost your little finger, even though it was your finger that was lost. You comforted me by saying your hand wasn't worth much, that I was going to be a pianist, and my hands were more valuable than your life. Rafael, show some respect for your past self. Back then, you were worth dying for. How much more so for Harmony's love? You already had it. Whether the system was there or not, the love and feelings that existed during that time will never change. And now? He cried. What about now? I held Kenta's hand even tighter, intertwining our fingers. Now, Rafael can watch Harmony's fingers get broken and still laugh and gamble with his friends. The Rafael I loved died long ago. Rafael collapsed onto the floor, glass and bottles tumbling down with him, shattering into pieces. His tears wouldn't stop. What a pitiful sight. I turned back and smiled at him, though tears were streaming down my face. From now on, if we meet, you should call me Mrs. Wu. Let's maintain our dignity. Anai is a pitiable person. All her malice towards me stems from her insecurity. She can't escape the world confined by her wheelchair. You're the only lifeline she has in her broken world. Since you've already announced your intention to marry her, you should take responsibility. Don't let her become a laughingstock in our circle. Her pride won't survive it. I wish you a happy marriage in advance. Mr. Shen. Kenta and I left the private room, and as soon as we were outside, I heard the heart-wrenching cries coming from within. Chapter 12. In the car, Kenta handed me a bottle of water with the cap already opened, and asked, "Still want to take the photos?" Of course. I picked up the little dress I had prepared earlier and showed it to him. Isn't it pretty? His eyes lit up with a smile. It's beautiful. He suddenly leaned in and hugged me. It's all behind us now. From now on, I'll handle everything. Whatever Rafael could do for you, I can do too, but I'll never turn bad or change my heart. I closed my eyes and nuzzled against his neck. I know. My brother had told me many stories from the past. When I didn't know, Kenta had done so many things for me. When I was being bullied at school, he secretly dealt with it. During my senior year, I had to walk through a long, dark alley every night to get home. Every night, Kenta silently followed me from his university until I got into my family's car. There were so many things. What I thought was a youth full of kindness was actually the result of someone silently clearing all the obstacles and difficulties from my path. When a quiet person starts to openly express their love, no longer hiding it, it likely means they've made the decision to risk everything. It's do or die. Even if you can't accept my love, please let it see the light of day. I scrolled through Kenta's Weibo. On the night of my 18th birthday, he had posted this. The photo shoot at the school went smoothly. In every picture, Kenta's gaze was on me. As we passed the school's sports field, Kenta suddenly smiled. In our senior year, we played a basketball game against the freshmen. I was the lead player. During practice, Rafael sprained his ankle, and you ran over, glaring at me, really angry. I was so worried you were mad at me. But then at lunch, you came to eat with your brother. You saw the chicken leg on my plate and, craving it, asked if I could give it to Yout. Harmony. We saw each other every day, but you don't remember a single moment involving me. I tried to recall, but all I could remember was Rafael getting hurt. Kenta continued to tell me stories from the past, each one involving me, but I had no memory of them, not even fragmented memories. It was as if Kenta had never existed in my past. A stranger whose name I couldn't even remember. He ruffled my hair. Maybe heaven took pity on me. Now you can finally remember me, and you won't forget me again. I thought about the system that had disappeared, and I realized that my lost memories of Kenta might have been due to some external factor. I couldn't fathom the depth of Kenta's grand and hopeless unrequited love. Or perhaps it was even an overt love. He endured me saying goodnight with a smile the night before, only to hear me ask the next morning, "Classmate, what's your name? And what's your relationship with my brother?" My clueless brother thought it was just a unique way Kenta and I greeted each other. But I had no memory. Kenta went from disbelief to despair to gradually accepting it. Every day, he patiently reintroduced himself, tirelessly, only for me to forget the next day. I apologized to him. "I'm sorry." He laughed lazily, but his eyes slowly reddened. What's there to apologize for? My crush is like the Little Mermaid, cool, right? Chapter 13. As my wedding with Kenta approached, the media began to cover the event extensively. Some troublemakers dug up my past with Rafael, and a few former classmates anonymously shared stories in the comment sections. I called my brother, asking for help with some public relations. Before my brother could act, Rafael had already posted on Weibo, saying, "It was my reckless youth and ignorance. All the blame lies with me, not with her." Don't you want to criticize someone? Don't you want to mock someone? My comment section isn't closed. I'm such a big scumbag. Why won't you criticize me? Come at me. People began to say Rafael must have been possessed. Rafael had amassed quite a few fans over the years from his racing career. Everyone knew about my relentless pursuit of Rafael, and this was the first time Rafael had reacted like this. People started asking in the comments if his wedding with Anai was also approaching. He replied, "Anai is my sister and the heir to half of the Shin family's assets." I stared at that reply for a long time, a sense of unease spreading in my chest. A cold sweat broke out on my back, but I couldn't grasp what was wrong. On the day of my wedding with Kenta, the event was grand. I worried about Rafael's past extreme behaviors, but the ceremony ended without him appearing. Late at night, after the guests had left, a little girl ran up to me happily, saying, "That brother asked me to give this to you. He stayed in the car outside all day. He told me to tell you, Miss Gu, congratulations on your wedding." The child's innocent voice was clear and crisp. I took the gift box, and when I went outside, all that was left were a pile of cigarette butts. Inside the gift box was a pair of jade bracelets with a string of peace charms attached. His handwriting was actually beautiful. His grandfather had been a renowned calligrapher, and he had been influenced by it since childhood. He had written the word harmony in a delicate, soft, and intricate style, but when it came to the word wedding, his writing became hasty, the strokes weak, the characters illegible, with varying ink intensity. It was crooked and quite ugly. The word happiness, however, was different. The lines were smooth and connected, but compared to the previous words, these two seemed to have been added later. I closed the box. Outside, pigeons were circling, and a figure in black was barely visible beyond the phoenix tree. He was dressed in a suit, a cigarette between his fingers glowing faintly in the dark. The sadness in my heart grew stronger and stronger. I didn't know where the sadness was coming from. He had dressed up, and I was so afraid he was going to ruin my wedding. But in the end, he didn't even dare to see me. This was the outcome I had hoped for. I shouldn't be sad. I had never hated my emotions more. They came out of nowhere, fierce and reckless. I lifted my dress and walked back inside. The door closed behind me, the heavy sound echoing. With the door between us, we were now in two different worlds. Chapter 14. After that, I never saw Rafael again, nor did I hear any news about him. I only knew that he had gone abroad to find a renowned painter for Anai, someone famous even outside the country. After months of dedicated effort and a significant financial investment, he finally convinced the painter to take Anai as his last disciple. Beyond that, I heard nothing more about him. Kenta treated me very well. Every day after our marriage felt like a new beginning. In the mornings, before heading to work, he would prepare breakfast for me, and after I woke up, he would drive to his school or company. He took on the role of a teacher, helping me learn English and French. On nice days, we would sit together in our small garden, drinking afternoon tea. He had a beautiful voice, and I would find books on his bookshelf that I wanted to hear, and he would read them to me. When it snowed, we would sit on the floor, watching the snowflakes drift down through the large windows. Life was beautiful like this. There couldn't be a better life. 2 years later, I gave birth to a daughter. A couple of months after that, one night, the property management called me, saying that a man with the surname Shin was looking for us. Kenta and I went out together, and we saw Rafael. He looked worn out, no longer the dazzling figure he once was. The youthful energy had completely drained from him, replaced by a mature steadiness. "I heard you had a child. May I see her?" he asked nervously, holding a small box in his hands. His gaze shifted from my face to Kenta's, almost pleading. "I just want to see her." Just one look. I won't do anything. They showed me photos. She's a very cute little girl. Kenta stepped aside. Come in. Rafael borrowed our bathroom, showered, and disinfected himself before joining us in the nursery. He stood by the cradle, looking at my daughter, his eyes softening bit by bit as he silently watched her for a long time. He bent down and reached out his hand, hovering over her little face before quickly pulling it back. Unsure of what to do, tears welled up uncontrollably and fell down his face. He nearly fled the room. He handed the box to Kenta, his voice trembling. I missed her 1-month gift, so I made up for it. I also added gifts for her 10th and 18th birthdays. She's so beautiful, just like her mother, and she looks a lot like you too. I never imagined that one day the obsessive and crazy Rafael would show this side of himself. He even spoke to Kenta so calmly. After Rafael left, Kenta opened the box. Inside was a pair of gold bracelets, a peace lock, a jade Buddha, and a blessed charm. I thought of Rafael, who had traveled all this way, his knees soaked through with mud. The overwhelming sense of unease returned to me. Kenta held me in his arms, silently comforting me. Chapter 15. When my daughter was almost a year old, Kenta sent an invitation to Rafael, but in the end, it was Anai who delivered the response. It was a letter from Rafael, a suicide note, along with a surveillance video. When I realized I was just a character in this book, my entire life's path was already predetermined. I couldn't control my emotions or whom I loved. Everything I did was no longer governed by my own will. I couldn't change the events that had already happened, but I could choose my own ending. He let go of the burning sparkler in his hand and jumped from the tall building, his thin figure tearing through the air like a piece of paper. I'm tired of this body doing things against my will. Rafael would never not love harmony. Rafael will always love harmony. My legs gave out, and I collapsed to the ground, an overwhelming sadness engulfing me. I was like a mute infant, unable to utter a single word. See how cruel he is? He would rather die than let me love someone else without any emotional baggage. He chose this tragic way to ensure I would remember him across 2 lifetimes. Chapter 16. At Rafael's funeral, I saw Anai. She was still in her wheelchair, but she was a completely different person from the obsessive and malicious girl she once was. Her gaze was vacant as she stared at Rafael's portrait. Last night, I had a dream. I dreamt I was the villainess in a tragic romance novel, doing all kinds of evil, pretending to be innocent, and driving a wedge between the male and female leads. I made the male lead believe he loved me and tormented the female lead until she died. Only then did the male lead realize he had always loved her, and he killed me to avenge her. How ridiculous. The fingers holding my white rose curled. Last night, it wasn't just Anai, both Kenta and I had the same dream. In it, we saw the endings that were supposed to be ours in the story. Kenta was the humble second male lead, loving the heroine all his life. But the heroine's character was designed to never remember him. Even after he died for her, she still didn't remember him. The male lead's character broke down. In the beginning, he loved me. In the middle, he was full of misunderstandings. And in the end, he realized too late. After I died, he went mad. Rafael was the first to wake up. He defied the path set out for him and loved you. He gave me a better ending, allowing me to see a world beyond my wheelchair. Who says that characters in a book have no self-awareness? Anai held back her tears. Next month, I'm holding an art exhibition. I hope you can come. We all need to live well. That's what he would have wanted. I placed the white rose in front of Rafael's portrait. My vision blurred with tears. I heard my own hoarse, choked voice say, "All right."